The purpose of this presentation is to go over the Keller Capstone course and startup issues in the absence of the professor on our first class day. The objective of this course is a comprehensive business plan and presentation delivered in week 8. It's for a new business startup that is selected by the student team, and it must meet certain criteria, which I will give later. It will be presented to local academic managers and industry people for feedback. Think about Shark Tank as an analogy for the week 8 presentation, except you'll have a little more time to present than they do on Shark Tank. And then see the project charter for the project concept as to exactly what this project entails. In terms of organization, leadership, and communication, the entire class of about 6 students represents the project team. And it will be led by a student project manager in the class. The functional areas are to be decided by the team to cover the areas of the business plan template. So what I mean by that is that as a team you'll decide, who's in charge of human resources, who's in charge of marketing. You can have multiple people, the same person can belong on 2 functional areas. So someone could be doing marketing but then also be doing, human resources at the same time, depending on skills, background, and what they bring to the course. And communication and file sharing can happen on any platform the team decides to use. So I can set up a Team A area is set up for the course so that you can use that as a discussion area in eCollege. There's a free collaboration platform called Wigio.com that works a lot like Facebook, but it allows for better file sharing. And Google, of course, has Google Drive, discussion forum, and then email, etc., where you can go in and share and work on documents there. And then there's also Yahoo Groups, which is another one that's free. It's up to the team to decide exactly how they will communicate and what platform they will use. So weekly assignments and presentations are mentioned in the course. I'm not going to require these presentations. Normally I will get your weekly assignments, which are submitted each Sunday of the week, and there's where I can see exactly what it is that that you have done and give feedback there. There's nothing due in week 1, but in week 2 you have a number of items due. And although some of you may have been in the course shell in the preview week, there may have been a reference to what's called a major field test or an alternate assignment in week 6. That has been taken out because it's not required for this particular session for us to do the major field test or an alternate assignment. Now, grades come from peer reviews, weekly assignments, and the final presentation and business plan. A team grade is assigned to everyone, so every time someone submits something each week, the whole team gets that grade. So make sure everyone has a chance to review what is submitted and to make suggestions as to what should go into that report. Some groups had a quality control team that reviewed everything for formatting, spelling, grammar, and other features. So if you want to do that, that's fine, but just make sure that if you really want to make sure you do well on these submissions, that you have input, that you can look over what is submitted and make suggestions to make it the best it can be. Peer reviews can also influence each person's individual grade, potentially lowering it if the report is negative. So there's a team grade given for everything submitted, and then we adjust that according to the peer review that your team gives. So let's talk about peer reviews. It's in week 8. There's a peer review sheet in doc sharing or the week 8 assignment area. I can't remember which. It's normally the project manager who spearheads the coordination of the peer review document. Everyone gets to have input into the peer review of everybody else on the team, but everyone should know what is submitted in the peer review when it's finally submitted. There should be complete transparency and discussion about it with everyone on the team as appropriate. Everyone participates in reviewing everyone else, so see the peer review template for what the items are that are looked for in the peer review. Discuss issues with team members' performance early in the course. A peer review should never be a surprise. So what I want to avoid is a situation where someone gets a bad review in week 8 and it comes as a surprise because nobody said anything about the fact that maybe they missed meetings or hadn't contributed quality work, etc. So if there are interpersonal problems or problems with people pulling their weight, etc., make sure that these are handled early enough in the course that that person can get the feedback and make adjustments. I'd also like to see you help people that may do their best but may not produce quality work. Instead of being negative about those people or feeling sad about it, put your arms around that person, try to help them by working with them to help them produce good work. In spite of the fact that a peer review is taken really seriously in influencing the grade of each individual team member, the professor has the final say regarding how a peer review may impact an individual team member's grade. Now, there are books mentioned in the course shell each week under each functional degree area. These books are completely optional. They are there in case you want to read about specific areas, but ideally you should be drawing on past coursework and your own research. There is a business plan template that I will be providing in doc sharing that explains what's expected in terms of content in this business plan that you're putting together. So you can use that to guide you as to what resources you want to look for using. You will get a lot of professor feedback throughout the weekly assignments. Please incorporate that feedback into your final business plan and presentation. And also be positive in accepting feedback. I know you may put in many hours, but if it turns out that there's something that maybe isn't right or that could be improved upon, it's better to find out early in the course that that adjustment needs to be made, rather than at the very end where all the grades are. The early assignments aren't worth that much in the entire scheme of the course, whereas at the very end a big chunk of the course grade occurs. So take that feedback positively and gracefully, and that's something that we look for in students. It's been a problem at multiple universities, not only Keller and DeVry, but others that our professors are familiar with, that you need to take our feedback and incorporate it into the final business plan and presentation. So here are the keys to success. Number one, be very specific. If you're going to say we're going to do marketing, make sure you don't say we're going to advertise on the radio. Instead, indicate that you're going to advertise on WMMO because of the 3 radio stations we picked. They have the highest concentration of the demographic in our target market, for example. Give specific costs and when you will advertise and what time of day to reach your target market. Do you see how specific I'm being here? Think about this being a turnkey plan where someone can just look at it and then follow it. They don't have to do any additional research. There isn't something, a bit of information given for them to go and do research on later. It's highly specific. Use primary research wherever possible. Talking to people that are in the industry that you are for which you're business planning, or do your own survey, or if necessary, do secondary research in ProQuest or in their online databases to justify the things that you want to do. That gives the panel really nowhere to go if they object to elements of your business plan. You can quote your primary research. Use consistent formatting as well. It'll be easier if each week everyone submits something that's formatted properly so that it looks like a consistent document at the end and not just something that a group of different functional teams did individually and then was put together. It should all be internally consistent. So if you say you're going to advertise on the radio in the marketing section, then you got to have that in the finance section as a budget for marketing materials. Where possible, focus on using tables and charts rather than long blocks of text. Use this format preamble, which is like an introduction, like a paragraph that provides analysis or summarizes what's in a chart or figure underneath it. So you have preamble, chart or figure, preamble, chart or figure. When that's possible to use that, always think, how can I present this in terms of a table or as a figure that I can then introduce with a paragraph of analysis. Avoid large volumes of writing if you can. Try to be as concise as possible. No one wants to read a really long document. Avoid giving lessons about business in the business plan or presentations. So often we've seen students, in the finance section, give a page on what a break-even analysis is and how to calculate it. We already know that. Now, if you've used a specific break-even analysis method, then you might want to explain why you chose that particular approach to break-even analysis. But don't feel that you have to train us as to how to do a break-even analysis, for example. In doc sharing, there was a business plan template that I've used before. It contains guidance on each section. Project management must provide a project schedule for development of the business plan and presentation, and most project managers use that business plan template as a guide for what is due when from the project team to hit course due dates, but also allow timely development of the business plan. Project management should also provide a project schedule, communication plan, risk management plan, and project schedule for implementing the business that the team decides to have. So project management has 2 project planning activities they have to be involved in. One is for developing the business plan, one is for the actual implementation of the project. So what makes a good business concept? Number one, something the team can relate to. It should be something that isn't so abstract or specialized to in someone's experience that nobody would really understand, like a biomedical testing and certification company or something like that. It should be something that people can generally relate to, including a panel of academic managers and potentially industry people. It should involve a lot of technology, because in this particular iteration of the course we have a lot of people that have technology majors, such as management of information systems management, networking, information security, etc. So that's specific to this particular iteration of the capstone. A bad example of a business plan would be a restaurant, although there is some technology involved, with apps and how to capture survey data and that sort of thing. It's not nearly as intensive from a technology perspective as this project needs, given the technology representation we have from students. A better example would be an online store or a social media networking site with internal hosting, networking, and security, etc. So make sure that whatever you do has a strong enough technology component for the technology people on your team to be able to showcase what they've learned. And the project manager should submit the concept to myself via email prior to the team making the final decision or submitting it. I don't want you to get to week 2 giving me a write-up for a business concept and I find out it's not acceptable. So sometime in week 1, you should, as early as possible, you should let me know what your concept is so I can say, yes, I think you should go ahead with that. And if I say no, then accept that feedback with a good attitude and come back with a plan B as quickly as you can. It's good to come up with a number of options and maybe prioritize them as to the ones you like the best. So to get started, the team needs to organize itself into functional areas. You can belong to more than one functional area, as I said earlier. You can have a leader within each functional area. So, a project manager leads the team, but you might have a marketing leader if you've got a couple, marketing people that want to work on that section, or maybe all 4 members of the team want to work on that section together. There should be someone who's kind of a leader of that area to interface with the project manager. You need to decide on the communication platform you're going to use, and you need to review the project charter that I will be making available to you that describes overall and generally what is expected of you with this business plan and presentation. Select your business concept and then get started on the team charter that's due in week 2, along with a write-up of the business concept. It only has to be a simple page of what the concept is, but that team charter and that business concept is due to the week 2 Dropbox by Sunday of week 2. And that's it. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend the class this time. I just could not get out of the commitment I was in. This has been acceptable to the dean for me to do it this way, and I've connected with many of you via phone before the class. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or phone me the day after our class, and I can answer them. Lickety split. Thanks. I'm looking forward to seeing what this team can produce and helping you do well in the capstone. Bye-bye.